Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil service aspirants. Welcome to Conquer Prelims 2024 initiative, and today will be the first class for Indian economy. Now before we start the discussion, a very important announcement. I am pretty sure all of you have prepared for the UPSC Civil Services examination, which is going to be conducted in the next month. Now to check to what extent you are prepared, to have a look at how you are performing with your competitors at all India level, we have organized Unacademy All India Prelims Mock Test 2024. The questions have been prepared, curated by the top educators at Unacademy. Once you appear for the test, which is free of a cost, register for this test free of a cost. You can get your All India ranking. This will give a very good idea of how well you are prepared, how you are able to perform in the examination. There will be two papers. Morning 9:30 a.m. that will be a GS paper, and at 2:30 p.m. will be the CSAT paper. Now if you are wondering, sir, when is this particular test? When it will be conducted? I want to appear for the test. Then the next test will be conducted on the 26th of May. Right, so for more details, the mobile number is given here. Please give a call. Let's start the discussion. The first question, have a look at this and start solving. Please have a look at it very carefully. Take your time. 60 seconds is there. Solve the question. Okay. Now, before I start discussion, before I tell you what is the solution, what is the issue all about, let me prove to you why you should be focused on these kind of concepts. Now, please have a look at these articles which have appeared in different newspapers. First one appeared on Mint newspaper. India's post-pandemic recovery, is it K-shaped? One more statement given by the Finance Minister. Finance Minister rubbishes claims of Indian economy's K-shaped recovery. And the third one, which I'm pretty sure many of you would have missed, New Zealand has experienced recession for the second time. So based on whatever is appear in the current affairs, I framed this particular question. Let's start. Consider the following pairs. On one side, in the column I've given shapes of recoveries, different alphabets are mentioned. And on the other side, what does it generally mean? What is the inference you need to draw? And you'll have to find how many of the above pairs are correctly matched. By the way, right option for this particular question number 1 is option C. Only 3 of the pairs are correctly matched. Let's start. U-shaped recovery, K-shaped recovery, L-shaped recovery, and W-shaped recovery. U-shaped recovery, please remember this. Whenever you talk about recoveries, that is basically they're talking about, let's assume an economy goes through a recession, and after recession, how will the economy recover? What will be the shape of recovery? And when I say shape of recovery, essentially they're talking about how the GDP of the country will generally move. Whenever you say U-shaped recovery, please understand, let's imagine economy, that is GDP, was moving in this fashion. There is a sudden contraction. Remember, sudden contraction and there is very slow recovery, very slow recovery. This is basically called as a U-shaped recovery, and it says economy rebounds very quickly. And by the way, if the economy goes through a recession and basically rebounds very quickly, this is called as a V-shaped recovery. This is referred to as a V-shaped recovery. And by the way, those who are wondering, sir, what is the viewpoint of Government of India? What is the viewpoint of various proponents who will support Government of India? They believe Indian economy is experiencing a V-shaped recovery. That is basically the economy will have a crash like this, experience a contraction, and at a very faster pace recover and basically go to the original path. This is a V-shaped recovery. So first pair wrong. K-shaped recovery, that is the counter argument. Many of the proponents or many of these particular people, experts, they argue that Indian economy is not experiencing a V-shaped recovery. It is in fact experiencing a K-shaped recovery. What is the meaning of a K-shaped recovery? Imagine this is the economy. At a point of time, there is a certain event. After the event, the economy will basically move, that is parts of the economy will move in opposite direction. One part of the economy will start experiencing good growth. Another part of the economy will experience a downfall. This is basically called as a K-shaped recovery. For example, during pandemic, healthcare sector performed very well. I hope you understand. Healthcare sector performed very well. On the other side, you talk about a sector such as civil aviation. It performed very badly. So basically, you will experience this kind of a divided, basically two different types of growth rates you will experience. As a result of this, the inequality that is already present, inequality will start expanding, will start increasing. Second one is correct. L-shaped recovery is associated with periods of depression. What is depression? Please be very careful. Depression will be caused after recession. Recession basically means for 2 consecutive quarters, there is negative GDP growth rate. Is it okay? I'm talking about recession for a very simple reason. In the last 1 year, many countries around the world have experienced a recession. For example, Germany. It has experienced a recession. So there are many countries in the last 1 year who have experienced a recession. So what is depression? If the recession intensified, if the recession continues for more than 3 years, that is called as depression. We have experienced a recession, but we have not experienced a depression in recent times. So whenever you talk about L-shaped recovery, if the economy contracts, and from there doesn't recover to the original line, it will keep on running, let's say parallel, have a very slow recovery like this. This is called as L-shaped recovery. And have a look at this. If there's a contraction and the contraction continues like this, this is basically associated with depression. Yes, third one is correct. Fourth one, W-shaped recovery. Very simple. Contraction in the economy, slight recovery, again contraction in the economy. This is basically called as a W-shaped recovery. That is, there is a recession which happens 2 times. That is basically called as a double dip recession. Any country which has experienced a recession very quickly, 2 times in a recent times, New Zealand has experienced this. Please remember, New Zealand has experienced this. That is the reason, basically we are talking about double dip recession or a W-shaped recovery in the context of New Zealand. So fourth one is also correct. So 2, 3, 4 correctly matched. Hence the right option for the question number 1 will be option C. Let me go to the next question now. Question number 2. Consider the following statements. 2 statements are given. Try to solve it. The poll has started. Solve it now. Peter Parker. My dear, the timing of the session is 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. I am not sure, but D seems right to me. Let's discuss. Okay. Question number 2. Consider the following statements. There are 2 statements given. Both the statements, please understand, one of them is very easy, second one is slightly technical, slightly difficult. And by the way, for question number 2, right, the right option will be option B. Right option is option, right option is option A. Second statement is wrong, and 36% of you have answered correctly. Let's start. With higher national income, the personal disposable income are also likely to increase. Statement is correct. If national income increases, that is, let's say NNP increases, net national product, if it starts increasing, obviously the personal incomes, that is personal disposable incomes, are also likely to increase. Again, please understand, the technical term is personal disposable income. Right, some of you might be confused. Personal incomes is first, and from that personal disposable income is arrived at. First statement is correct. Second, national income is the income received and personal incomes is the income earned. Exactly opposite. The national income is earned and personal incomes are received. Now some of you will ask me, sir, first statement is also not clear, second statement is also not clear. Right, very simple logic. The net national income, or let's say net national product, after this what you will basically do is you will receive lot of transfer payments. Do let me know. Once you calculate NNP, you will basically receive lot of transfer payments. All of you know the concept of transfer payments. Right, what is a transfer payment? One-sided transfer. Money is transferred and in return nothing is taken. Right, for example, government will provide, let's say, subsidies, right? Let's say for poor people, pensions are given in the form of subsidies, right? So basically there, money is given by the government. In return, government will not take any kind of goods or services. So NNP is basically the amount that is earned by the factors of production, such as land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. But please understand, whatever income you are earning through NNP, that is, let's say for example you are an employee. For an employee under NNP, what is the income earned? Can I simply say salaries or wages? Correct? Salaries or wages is nothing but income earned under the component of NNP. But do let me know, when you receive salary, if your salary is, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, don't you think Government of India will take away some of the income part in the form of taxation? Correct? Some of these particular incomes will be taken away by the government in the form of taxes. So again, please understand, the concept of earned and received is basically simple. Your salary could be 1 lakh. You are earning 1 lakh. But what you receive is less than 1 lakh rupees. All of you okay with this idea? Anybody has a doubt? Let me know. Your salary you are earning is what? Right? You are earning 1 lakh rupees. But out of that, let's say government will take away the taxes. What you have left out, let's say 80,000 rupees is your income received. So whenever you talk about income received, it will be lesser than the income earned. Why so? Government will impose corporate taxes, take away part of the corporate profits. Government will impose a certain social security benefits which will have to contribute. Again, it will take away from your salaries. So with higher national income, the personal disposable incomes are also likely to increase. With higher NNP, along with the transfer payments, right, your personal incomes will start increasing. And the formula is very simple. Listen to the formula. The NNP at factor cost, again, NNP at factor cost adjusted for net factor income from abroad. In addition to this, add transfer payments, subtract corporate taxes out of it, subtract social security contributions. What you'll get is basically personal incomes. From personal incomes, you subtract, I repeat, from personal incomes, you subtract taxes, income taxes, property taxes, etc. What you'll get is personal disposable income. Okay, personal disposable income. All of you okay with this? So higher national income will also lead to higher personal disposable income. Of course, yes. First statement is correct. National income is the income received and the personal income is the income earned. Absolutely no, exactly opposite. National income is the income earned, whereas personal incomes is the income received. National income could be 100 crore rupees, but how much money you will have, how much money I will have, from 100 crores corporate taxes will be taken away. From 100 crores, right, let's say social security contributions will be taken away. From that, right, many other contributions, many other numbers will be taken away. For example, the corporate profits which are reserved, which are kept with the company itself, that will also be taken away, subtracted in simple terms. Whatever is left out is called as personal incomes. All of you okay? Right, all of you okay? Can we go forward? How can we say personal income is received also included earned? My dear, please understand. Let me give a very simple example. Okay? Very simple, by the way. Imagine this is your salary. Now do let me know, will I count this as a part of national income when I will calculate NNP? Correct? This is my salary. Okay? Will I count this 100 rupee that the company will pay 100 rupee? That is my salary earned. Right, my salary earning is 100 rupee, but will I receive 100 rupee in my hand? Do let me know. Once the company pays salary, will I receive 100 rupee in my hand? No, I will not receive. Why? Government will impose taxes and collect taxes from that particular 100 rupee, which basically, let's assume 10 rupee. So company will pay 100. That will be counted as a factors of production expenditure. Is it okay? Company will pay 100, factors of production expenditure, part of NNP. But how much will I actually receive in my hand? That will be after deduction of, let's say, social security contribution, after deduction of taxes, etc. And once you deduct the taxes, you will receive basically personal disposable income. You will receive personal disposable income. All of you okay? Can we go forward now? Second statement is wrong. First statement is correct. Right option is option A. And by the way, if you're wondering, sir, why are you asking these kind of questions? In recent times, was there a discussion regarding Government of India, which is basically, it is arguing that household incomes have not come down during pandemic or after pandemic. Household incomes have increased. Households are spending more money on purchasing goods and services. Households are spending more money in purchasing real assets, etc. And that is the reason they say the household liabilities have increased. Correct? Household liabilities have increased in recent times, etc., etc. Poverty has come down. All these arguments are being used by the government. So in that particular context, suddenly these kind of questions can be raised by UPSC. Let me go to the next question. Question number 3. Question number 3. Consider the following statements. Consider the following statements regarding HCES. And those who are wondering, what is HCES? Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. Very, very famous. 3 statements are there. Solve it. Pratibha Patil, HCES basically stands for Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. This was published, let's say, in the month of February and March. What is MPCE? Monthly per capita expenditure. MPCE, monthly per capita expenditure. Be very careful. This has created a lot of discussion. Concept of HCES has led to a lot of discussion. So please be very, very careful. Done? Let's start then. Let's start. Okay. So consider the following statements regarding household consumption expenditure survey. Right. So right option for this particular question number 3 is option A. Option A. Only one is correct. Only one is correct. Please be very, very careful. Let's start. It is conducted by NSO. This was the most easiest statement out of all the 3 statements that I've given. This was the most easiest. It is conducted by NSO. Yes, correct. It has been conducted by NSO. And by the way, right, I've given an article regarding this, right? If you want, you can use this particular article to read and gain knowledge later. But before I go forward, before I start discussing a statement, certain very important points. Listen to me very carefully. All of you heard of MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MOSPI. MOSPI was established as a separate ministry back in the year 1999. Please remember, back in the year 1999. Now, MOSPI has 2 divisions. One is basically the Statistics Division and the second one is Program Implementation, PI. Right, one is the Statistics Division and the Statistics Division is NSO, National Statistical Office, NSO. Now, NSO is further broken down into 2 parts. Please remember, there are 2 more offices under NSO. One is NSSO, National Sample Survey Office, by heart this, and the second one is basically CSO, Central Statistical Office. What is the use of this? The CSO is involved in publication of GDP. All of you heard of GDP? Anybody in the class who says, sir, what is GDP? I'm hearing it for the first time. Do let me know. GDP, Gross Domestic Product. Apart from this, CSO also publishes, right, IIP, Index of Industrial Production, right, many more other indicators. On the other side, we also have NSSO, National Statistical Sample Office, right, NSSO. NSSO is involved in publishing, that is basically collecting the HCES, Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. It is also involved in PLFS. All of you heard of PLSF? Periodic Labor Force Survey. It is also involved in publication, that is conducting survey and collecting data for many other surveys. Now please remember. Now focus on the discussion. The question is regarding Household Consumption Expenditure Survey, HCES. It was supposed to be conducted. It was supposed to be conducted once every 5 years. It is supposed to be conducted once every 5 years. The last survey for which the data is available in the public domain, I repeat, the last survey for which the data is available in the public domain is 2011 and 2012. 2011 and 2012. After this also, one more survey was conducted. But the government of India raised certain issues, quality data issues regarding the survey, and the report was not made public. The survey was conducted, report was not made public. Okay, and thereafter, very recently, after the pandemic got over, again the survey has been conducted and the reports have been published. Now, what are the important points? Please remember this. For the first time, I'll show you a table. For the first time, the percentage expenditure, right, that is for the rural households, the percentage expenditure, that is percentage share of the food, has declined, has fallen down below 50%. Again, if you're wondering, sir, what is this percentage expenditure? Every month, on an average, how much expenditure is done by the households in a rural India and urban India, the measurement is done. Very simple. Every month, on an average, how much is the expenditure done, right? Monthly per capita expenditure done is measured for rural household and urban household. According to the data published, it is 3773 rupees for rural India, and for urban India, it is 6459 rupees. 6,459 rupees. And as a percentage, out of this, how much is the percentage expenditure done on the food? It is 46% in case of rural India, and it is 39% in case of urban India. Right? For the first time, please remember this. Suddenly, this can be asked in UPSC Prelims. For the first time, the percentage expenditure that is done out of MPCE on food in case of rural India has declined, fallen below 50%. Below 50%. And apart from this, the gap that is MPCE gap that existed between urban India and rural India, it has come down. It has reduced in the last 1 decade. That is compared to 2011 and 12 as per the latest data. The gap that existed between the MPC of urban India and rural India, it has declined. Now, look at the statements. Start looking at the statements. It is conducted by NSO, correct? National Statistical Office under MOSPI. Second, the MPCE and percentage MPCE spent on food has increased in case of rural households. Did I show you this particular table just now? Hardly 30 seconds ago. MPCE has increased. Right now you'll ask me, sir, how much was the MPCE earlier? 2011 and 12, the MPCE in case of rural India was 1430 rupees. 1430. And in case of urban households, it was 2630 rupees. So no doubt, MPCE over a period of time has increased. But the percentage of MPCE spent on the food has not increased, rather it has decreased. So second statement is wrong. All of you okay? Second statement is wrong. Third one, the MPCE includes the cost of the food grains which are received by the households under PMGKAY, as it involves government expenditure. Be very careful. This is basically called as imputed cost. This is called as imputed cost, right? Basically called as imputed cost, which means the government is incurring the expenditure, not the households. Is it okay? I'll repeat my statement. Imputed cost means here government is incurring the expenditure, not the household. Why? In case of the households, the food grains are available free of a cost. That is, let's say there is a rural household. Some of you are saying it is not clear. I'll repeat it. Listen to me carefully. There is a rural household. This rural household has been identified as a beneficiary under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. So don't you think food grains will be provided free of a cost to you? Do you have to spend money out of your, let's say, 3773 rupees, that is 3773 rupees? Will you spend any money on Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana food grains? No, you will not spend money. Hence, the free food grains which are allocated to them, the expenditure is incurred by the government, not by the household. That is not considered in the calculation. Is it okay? Third statement is also wrong. So first one is correct, second one is wrong, third one is wrong. Right option is option A here. Can we go forward? Can we go forward? Now before I go forward, many of you, right, I would recommend this, I would strongly advise this to you. Many of you, over a period of time, I'll be discussing a lot of concepts today. You will be asking me, sir, where are these concepts available? Should I start reading now? Should I start making notes now? My dear, you do not have so much of time. So what I would recommend is, listen to me carefully now. Spare 30 seconds for me. What I've done is, I'll show it to you. At the end of the discussion on the GDP topics, I've made mind maps. Can you see this? Please do let me know. Do not worry, I'll go back to the previous slide. Can you see this? I've made mind maps. Whatever are the important current affairs topics which I'm discussing in the form of, let's say, the topics or the questions now, some of the important points I've created mind maps for this, right? For this, right, as well as other concepts in GDP, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'll keep on giving you. All you need to do is very simple. Can you see the QR code here now? Can everybody see the QR code? All you need to do is scan the QR code. It will take you to our Telegram channel, and this PPT will be uploaded, right, in the form of PDF. It will be uploaded in the Telegram channel. That's it. All you need to do is simply that, scan, go to our Telegram channel and download this particular PPT. After the class is over, it will be available. Done? Now let me go back to the discussion. Let me go back to the earlier question now. Okay, question number 4. Let's start. Which of the following statements are not applicable to anarcho capitalism? Be very careful. Start now. Those who are asking for our Telegram link, the link has been provided in the comment section. It has been pinned as well. Please use the link. Okay, let's start. Okay, so question number 4. Which of the following statements are not applicable to anarcho-capitalism? And by the way, right option for question number 4 is option C. Option C is the right option. What is this idea of anarcho-capitalism? And by the way, option C, 27% of you have chosen option C. And like a democracy, most of you have chosen, right? Let's say some of you have chosen 27 option C, 27A, right? 22D and 22B. Almost equal representation in case of all the 4 options. Let's start. What is this idea of anarcho-capitalism? Was it mentioned anywhere in the current affairs, right? Very simple. There was a lot of discussion regarding the concept of anarcho-capitalism because of the elections that were conducted in Argentina. Elections that were conducted in Argentina. Now, what is this idea of anarcho-capitalism? And the article I've given, this is from Hindu newspaper itself. Hindu newspaper, your favorite newspaper. So let's start. What is this idea of anarcho-capitalism? Under anarcho-capitalism, they want a free market. The demand is, or they want to establish a free market. But when you say a free market, it's not like a free market under capitalism. Under capitalism, what generally happens? Okay, right? What happens under capitalism? We basically say the government will provide certain services, like let's say social welfare, and remaining the market will determine the prices. Correct? The market, based on the supply as well as the demand, the market will determine the prices. There is right a free entry that is allowed. Free entry in the sense private sector will participate. It will control factors of production, etc., etc. These are the features of capitalism. But there is a counter argument to this idea of capitalism by anarcho-capitalist. What they argue is the government should not be allowed to participate in any manner in the market. I'll repeat the statement. Right, the government should not be allowed to participate in any manner in the market. No way government should be allowed to operate. Why? Their argument is simple. Once the government is operating, you will see that government will establish companies. Correct? Government will establish companies. And when the government will establish companies, these companies generally, because of the support of the government, this will not be efficient utilization of the resources. And in many cases, it has been found that government, when they establish the companies, they will ensure that there is no private sector entry or there is limited private sector entry into that particular sector where government has established the companies. That is the reason they do not want the government to be present in the market in any manner whatsoever. That is the first one. Second one, they also say that when the government is operating in the market, government will impose and collect taxes. Correct? All of you have paid taxes. Anybody in the classroom who is sitting who has not paid any taxes to the government. So not even GST. If you say, sir, I have not paid even GST, then my dear, I presume you have not even purchased 4G data. You have not even purchased, right, 5G data. And some of you will say, yes, sir, not even 4G, not mine. I am simply stealing it from somebody else. So again, don't worry about that. Come back to the discussion here. So argument is government is present in the market, government will impose taxes and collect income taxes from the people. What the anarcho-capitalist basically says, by imposing taxes and collecting taxes, government is installing institutionalized theft. I hope you understand this. They say by imposing taxes and collecting taxes from the people, when they earn income, the government is installing an institutionalized theft system. And that's the reason they argue that there should not be any role for the government in the market. Absolutely no role. What about social welfare? Many of you have this kind of a doubt. Sir, what about social welfare then? Should we have government for social welfare? They say not even for social welfare. Government will not be required even for social welfare. Why? Charity. They argue for installing the system of providing charity, social welfare through charity. So come back to the statements here. It argues that government should be present in providing the services such as law and order. Absolutely no. What this anarcho-capitalism proposes is everything will be privatized. Everything will be privatized. And because there is privatization, customers will have lot of the power. If they do not like a particular product or a service provided by the company, they will substitute. They will shift to one more company. And as a result of this, companies will be very much afraid of losing customers. They will provide very good quality. Competition will be very high. So, right, law and order? No. Law and order should also be privatized. Private companies will provide for law and order, which is the biggest criticism for anarcho-capitalism. In fact, this is also the criticism for anarcho-capitalism. Why? If there are multiple companies which are providing law and order protection, don't you think they might favor rich people in the society? Already in case of India, there is a concern that there is a billionaire Raj. Have you heard of this? There is a concern that there is a billionaire Raj. So I hope you understand, if the private sector will start, right, adjudicating everything, will provide security, maintain law and order, there might be a bias. And one more issue is, if private sector companies, different companies are present in the same jurisdiction, in the same region, there can be conflict between both of them. There can be confusion, chaos over providing law and order services. So I hope you understand, right, which are not applicable to anarcho-capitalism. First one, it is not applicable. It argues for imposition of taxes to be used for providing welfare only, right? No, it doesn't argue for the imposition of taxes. Third one, it is in favor of complete deregulation of the market. It is in favor of complete deregulation of the market. Yes, in fact, anarcho-capitalism proposes complete deregulation. Is it okay? Right, so first one is wrong, second one is wrong. You are supposed to find which of the features are not applicable. So right option will be option C, 1 and 2 only. Is it okay? Can we go forward now? Can we go forward? Okay, question number 5. Let's go to question number 5. Which of the following are likely to reduce the household financial savings? Start. Please read the statements very carefully. Okay, let's start. Which of the following are likely to reduce the household financial savings? 3 options are there. Lower inflation rate, higher demand for real assets, and increased repo rate. And the reason why I've asked this kind of a question is because of this article. Have a look at this. Business line 22/9/2023. The finance minister is swearing by household sector strength amid rising borrowing trend. This has been there in the discussion, starting with RBI report. RBI published a report where it talked about reduction in the household savings to 40-year high or 40-year low, 50-year low, etc. And all of that started or led to a lot of discussion regarding household savings. But more technically, please look at the statement given. I am asking you a question about household financial savings. Be very careful. I am talking about household financial savings, not just savings, household financial savings. Those who are wondering, sir, is there any difference? I feel both are one and the same. Only the term financial you are omitting, that's it. My dear, please understand. Imagine here is a person. Okay, let's assume here is a person. Person will earn income of, let's say, 100 rupees. Let's say the person will earn an income of 100 rupee. Out of that, certain taxes will be deducted. Correct? Certain taxes would be deducted. What is left out after that is called as a disposable income. This is called as a disposable income. Right? All of you okay with the point number 1? Now, part of the disposable income, the person will use it for purchasing goods and services for the current year. That is basically for the current time period. That is basically called as expenditure. It is referred to as expenditure. Remaining part, we will call this as savings. Remaining part, we will refer to this as savings. Important, savings. Now these savings can be again two types. One is called as a physical savings and the second one is called as financial savings. And the question is on the concept of financial savings. All of you okay? Right, one can be in the form of physical savings. What do you mean by physical savings? Households will spend money on physical assets. These are called as real assets. Please remember, the households will spend money and purchase physical assets which are called as real assets. For example, they will purchase, let's say, house. Correct? They will purchase a land. All these are real assets, physical assets. That is called as a physical savings. And the second one is called as a financial savings. For example, let's say you will keep deposits in a bank. You will keep a deposit in the bank. What do you think the bank will do with the deposit? Bank will keep certain reserves and use the remaining part of the deposit to lend in the market. And don't you think this kind of a lending activity will contribute to investment in the economy? Investment will contribute to capital formation in the economy, and capital formation will contribute to growth in the economy. All of you okay with the sequence? All of you okay with the sequence? Physical assets or real assets or financial assets are called as financial savings. Now question is, which of the following are likely to reduce the household financial savings? First one, lower inflation rate. If inflation rate is low, for a basket of goods and services, you will pay lesser amount of money. Anybody has a problem? If inflation rate is lesser, you will pay lesser amount of money for goods and services. That is, expenditure would be lower. If your expenditure is lower, your savings is likely to increase. Right? So if your savings is likely to increase, your financial savings is also likely to increase. So basically, question is reducing financial savings. First one is wrong. All of you okay? Right, all of you okay. First one is wrong. It is likely to increase financial savings, not reduce financial savings. Second one, higher demand for real assets, which is happening currently. Higher demand for real assets. If households will spend lot of money in purchasing, let's say, real assets, that is physical assets, physical savings, what do you think will happen to financial savings? Automatically financial savings will come down. Yes, are you able to understand? Out of 100 rupee, let's say 40 rupees expenditure and 60 rupees is savings. Out of 60, let's say 40 is again physical savings and 20 rupees is financial savings. If this will increase from 40 rupees to 50 rupees, automatically financial savings will reduce. Correct? All of you okay? Second statement is correct. Third one, increased repo rate. If repo rate increases, what generally happens? Don't you think households will have to spend more money in repaying of the loans? Correct? Households will have to spend money to repay the loans, which is nothing but increased expenditure. If expenditure starts to increase, automatically the financial savings will start coming down. All of you okay? Third one will also reduce the financial savings. So 2 is correct, 3 is correct. Right option for this question number 5 will be option B. All of you okay? Option B is the right one. Let me go to question number 6 now. Question number 6. With higher government expenditure, which of the following are likely to increase? I have given 3 components. Please have a look at this. Those who will have a doubt regarding what is GDCF, GFCF and GFCE. GDCF stands for Gross Domestic Capital Formation. GFCF stands for Gross Fixed Capital Formation. And GFCE stands for Gross Final Consumption Expenditure. Government Final Consumption Expenditure. Hosanna says all are one and the same. No, my dear, all are not one and the same. All are different. Be very careful. Third one, long form. I'll repeat it again. GDCF stands for Gross Domestic Capital Formation. GFCF stands for Gross Fixed Capital Formation. GFCE stands for Government Final Consumption Expenditure. Ringam says hardest question. And my dear, yes, the level of difficulty is slightly higher. Again, the argument is simple. If you are able to understand the concepts, doesn't matter whatever the kind of questions will be asked, you will be able to solve it. Now let's start. With higher government expenditure, which of the following are likely to increase? I have given three components. Some of you are saying, sir, all the three are one and the same. Some of you are saying, no, right, there is a difference between all of them. And right, some of you are saying, sir, which is the right answer? By the way, the right answer for question number 6 is option C. Option C is the right answer, all the three. Now, what is the argument all about? What is the issue all about? Right, have a look at this. Whenever you calculate GDP, gross domestic product, do you know this? I'm pretty sure all of you know this by now. The methodology that are used are three types. There are three types of methodology. One is called as income method. Second one is called as expenditure method. And the third one is value addition, that is production or value addition method. Let me focus on one of them, that is expenditure method. That is expenditure method. Now, what is this expenditure method? Basically, the formula is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. This is the formula. I'm pretty sure all of you have by-hearted this formula. Right, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. But in reality, let me show you the formula which is used by the NSO. This is the formula. All of you able to see this? Now, please do not start running away from these kind of tables. Don't worry. I'll tell you what you need to observe. Please focus on the second part of the table. Please have a look at this second part of the table, expenditure components. You will see that there is a PFCE, private final consumption expenditure. There is government final consumption expenditure. There is gross fixed capital formation. There is also change in stocks. Right? There is a term called as CIS, change in stocks. Now, what is the idea all about? Whenever you talk about the government expenditure, government can spend money in purchasing goods and services. Correct? All of you okay with this? Government can spend money in purchasing goods and services. Point number one. Point number two, these goods and services can also be capital goods. Possible or not? Do let me know. Can also be capital goods. Correct? Can also be capital goods. Of course, why not? And other goods and services are also purchased by the government. So, whatever final goods and services are manufactured, part of it in the form of capital goods are consumed by the government, and remaining part will be consumed by the private sector. Now look at the statement, look at the question given here. With higher government expenditure, which of the following are likely to increase? First one, with higher government expenditure, do let me know, gross fixed capital formation, will it increase or not? Think logically, by the way. With higher government expenditure, when government will spend money and purchase, let's say, machineries, will it contribute to gross fixed capital formation? Yes, that will contribute to GFCF. Now, there is one more component, GDCF. Many of you will simply say, sir, what is that GDCF? Is there any idea or there is a difference between GDCF and GFCF? My dear, please understand, there is a concept of gross capital formation. At GCF, total change in capital, right, basically from one year to another year is called as the rate of capital formation. But how much is the total investment in the economy? Investment in the economy is called as gross capital formation. Gross capital formation, there are two components. Simple, there are two components. One is a GFCF, gross fixed capital formation, and the second one is called as stocks. What is present in the stocks? You have semi-finished goods, you have intermediary goods, you have final goods, etc. All of them are present in the gross capital formation under stocks. Whereas in case of GFCF, assets which are created such as, let's say roads, such as manufacturing facilities, such as, let's say machines, etc. All of them are counted under GFCF. So far so good? Everybody is okay? Everybody is okay with the concept so far? Now, whenever government will incur higher expenditure, Can I simply say it can spend money under GFCF? Possible. Can it spend money on stocks? Can it purchase finished products from the market? Can it purchase inventory, that is, let's say semi-finished goods, intermediate goods from the market? Of course, yes. That is the government final consumption expenditure. So second one is correct, third one is correct. What about the first one? GCF, the other name generally used is called as a gross domestic capital formation. How much capital formation is happening in India generally is referred in the form of gross domestic capital formation. All of you okay with the argument here? Anybody has a doubt regarding the three components, please do let me know. And if you're reading newspaper, right, do let me know in the comment section between the production methodology and second, the expenditure methodology, which one do you think is more credible? Do let me know. Between the production methodology as well as the expenditure methodology, which one do you think is more credible? This was there in the current affairs. I'll connect it to current affairs, by the way. Any answer? Anybody has an idea? Which is more credible, right? Which is taken on the face value and something else is adjusted. My dear, please remember, production method is given more credibility. Production method is given more credibility. Why I'm talking about this? Very recently this was discussed. I'll give you the context. Was there certain set of experts who are arguing there is a huge mismatch between whatever is the GDP reported by the government and what is the actual GDP? Do let me know. Right? This was there in the discussion. I'll repeat it again. Whatever is the GDP given by the government, published by the government, and what is the actual GDP? Right, former CA, Chief Economic Advisor, etc., they have basically criticized, they have raised a doubt. Again, don't enter into political argument here. Argument is simple. Why are they saying it? They are saying this for a simple reason. Have a look at this. They will take the value, whatever value they get through production method, they will take it as it is. But whatever value they get through expenditure method, there will be a mismatch. Is it okay? Right, whatever value they get, that is a GDP value that they get through expenditure method, there will be a mismatch between production and expenditure method. And that is the precise reason. Look at number 12. Can you see a term called as a discrepancy? Do let me know. Right, look at the term. There is a term under the expenditure method. Can you see the term discrepancy? Why we have a discrepancy? Right? Why do we have a concept of discrepancy? There's a mismatch between the production as well as the expenditure method, and whenever expenditure method is different compared to production method, we will adjust, we will ensure the values are same by entering a term called as a discrepancy. Is it okay? Please be very careful, right? Focus on this. Now, one more reason why I've given this particular question is because of this. In recent times, it has been seen that the GDP is being driven by the government expenditure. I'll repeat. GDP, in case of the recent times, is driven through expenditure. That is, right, C plus I plus G, government expenditure. Government expenditure is very, very high. And this is not sustainable. We need to ensure that component C is higher, component I is higher. Now, some of you are basically saying, sir, picture is not visible, picture is not clear, etc. My dear, the PPT will be uploaded in the Telegram channel. Download it, have a look at it. Have a look at it later. Please don't worry. Okay, let me go to the question number 7 now. Let's start. Question number 7. Consider the following statements regarding National Statistical Commission, NSC. Important, I'll tell you why. Solve it. MOSPI full form, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay. Let's start. Let's start then. Question number 7. The right option is option A. Only one of the statements is correct. Question number 7. Right option is option A. Only one of the statement is correct. Now why? Sir, why have you taken this kind of a question? It is not given in any book. I have read 2-3 books, but right, in none of the books this has been provided. My dear, let me show you the articles. Can you see the articles? Statistical panel to become NSSO advisory body. NSSO is there in the newspaper, right? And National Statistical Commission is also there in the newspaper. Look at one more article which was there in the newspaper again last year. Business Standard. No plan to give autonomy to National Statistical Commission, statement given by the central government in the parliament. So NSC as a concept was present in the newspaper for multiple times in other newspapers. Now the problem with the students is that you generally prefer and you read and you stick to only Hindu. Am I correct? Do let me know. You read, you stick to, and you believe Hindu is sacrosanct. Nothing will be asked beyond Hindu. If you read Hindu, that's more than sufficient. My dear, in Hindu this was not mentioned. The concept of NSC, National Statistical Commission, was not discussed in Hindu. UPSC will, it doesn't mean UPSC will not touch it. Let's start. Right, let's start this. Consider the following statements regarding National Statistical Commission. It was established in 1999. Statement is wrong. Statement is wrong. NSC was established in the year 2005. It was approved by the cabinet. In the year 2006, it was actually constituted. Is it okay? 2005 approved by the cabinet. 2006 it was constituted. And anybody knows the commission which recommended setting up of National Statistical Commission. Committee which recommended National Statistical Commission. Raghurajan. Jayanta says Raghurajan. Anybody? Anybody else? Rangarajan, right? Rangarajan Committee. Please remember, Rangarajan Committee. Rangarajan Committee recommended establishment of National Statistical Commission. Okay. So first statement, right? In 2005 it was approved. 2006 it was constituted. First one is wrong. It is set up as a statutory organization. No. It is set up through executive order of the Government of India. Set up through executive order of the Government of India. Right, so second statement is wrong. Third one, it functions under MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Of course, yes. It functions under MOSPI. Please remember, earlier if you remember, I gave you the structure of MOSPI. I gave you the structure of MOSPI. Right, that is, it is divided into two parts. One is a statistical division, which is called as a NSO, and the second one is basically the program implementation division. And under program implementation division, again there are 3 offices. Please remember, right, can be asked in the UPSC. For example, MPLATS. MPLATS is there under the PI part, MOSPI under PI part. Okay, so on the other side, we have CSO, we have NSSO. In addition to this, there is one more institution which functions under MOSPI, that is National Statistical Commission. Now, what is the use of this? What is the use of a National Statistical Commission? Please understand. National Statistical Commission will basically oversee the statistical methods which are followed in India. What kind of statistical methods we are using, all of that will come through the concept of National Statistical Commission itself. Earlier under NSSO, please remember this. Earlier under NSSO, we had one more authority called as a Governing Council. There was a Governing Council which used to oversee the functioning of NSSO. And the Governing Council basically used to have experts from the non-government. That is, the officials, whoever is appointed in the Governing Council, they were not government officials. They were private experts. Non-government experts were appointed. And that's the reason the Governing Council, which oversaw the functioning of NSSO, had very high credibility. That Governing Council has been liquidated. That is basically removed by the Government of India in the 2006. After that, there is no Governing Council. And now, Government of India has proposed, it is just a thinking, it has proposed that they will be appointing NSE as basically overseeing functionary of NSSO. All of you okay? All of you okay, right? So the right option is option A for this. Now before I go forward, some of the students are basically saying it's not possible to read more than one newspaper. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you, right? There is no disagreement regarding that. But my dear, right, can you blame UPSC if this was there in the discussion and they will ask you question and you will start criticizing them? So what is the solution then? Solution is one, we are conducting the discussion. Second one is, if you have observed, we also provide lot of current affairs articles, right, in weekly discussions, right, over a period of time. We have given lot of these articles from other newspapers as well. So why not join those sessions, get the information. Okay, let's start. Question number 8. Question number 8. Consider the following statements regarding UN Statistical Commission. It was also there in the current affairs. I'll show you. Please have patience. Start solving. Okay, let's start. So question number 8, the right option for question number 8 will be option B. Sir, one more question related to statistics. There was one of the student who said, sir, one more question regarding statistics. My dear, important, right? Have a look at this. India starts 4-year term as a UN Statistical Commission member. The elections for this UN Statistical Commission were conducted last year. I hope you understand. Last year the elections were conducted, right? India was elected as a member to this Statistical Commission, and India started working as a member of this UN Statistical Commission starting from 1st of January. That is the reason both of these were there in the newspaper. Okay, let's start. Consider the following statements regarding UN Statistical Commission. Statistical Commission. India has been elected as a member to UN Statistical Commission for the first time ever. No. Earlier, back in the year 2004 also, India was elected as a member to UN Statistical Commission. Now, some of you will be asking, sir, is it relevant? In any case, is it relevant to UPSC? My dear, can I establish a relevance? Do let me know whether this makes sense or not if you are going to set up a question paper for Indian economy. All of you know GDP methodology was changed starting 2015, correct? Starting 2015, the GDP methodology was changed. It's a fact. I'll not ask you, it's a fact, by the way. Now, what was the reason? Why? What is the logic of changing this GDP methodology? There is a system that has been announced by United Nations by the name of SNA, Systems of National Accounts. The last time United Nations announced a change in the systems of national accounts was back in the year 2008. It was back in the year 2008. And based on the new system which was announced by the United Nations, or the revision that was done by the UN in the year 2008, Government of India changed its GDP methodology from 2015. So far so good. Now my question is, who is publishing the systems of national account? Which is this authority which will publish the systems of national accounts? My dear, you should draw an arrow mark directly to UN Statistical Commission. Very simple. It is the UN Statistical Commission which publishes, which revises the systems of national accounts. For the first time, the systems of national accounts were published back in the year 1955. Multiple revisions have taken place. The latest one was published in the year 2008, and that is exactly what we are using to calculate GDP in India. So do let me know whether you like it, don't like it. Is there a connection to your UPSC preparation to the United Nations Statistical Commission, by the way? Of course, yes. It was established back in the year 1946. UN Statistical Commission. I'm not talking about Security Council. Please do not be confused. Some of you will write this as UNSC, and later when you're reading, you'll basically say United Nations Security Council. Why Security Council is connected to India's GDP? You'll simply say, no, Statistical Commission. So United Nations Statistical Commission was established back in the 1946. It has a composition of 24 members. From different regions, a certain representation will be done. And for every 4 years, this basically we will comprise the United Nations Commission. This Statistical Commission of 24 members will be comprised. And what is the importance of it? Whatever is the statistical methodology which is followed across the globe, whatever methodologies are followed across the globe, it is the highest decision making authority. Please remember this. Whatever kind of statistics methodologies are followed around the globe, it is basically the highest decision making authority. All of you okay? Right, so third statement is correct. It is correct. It is the highest decision making body for international statistical activities. It consists of 24 members. First statement is wrong. Right option for the question number 8 will be 2 and 3. Right, 2 and 3. Okay, now let me go ahead. Question number 9. Question number 9. Consider the following statements regarding the 7th economic census. 7th economic census. Start. Okay, let's start. I'm pretty sure for majority of you, right, or let's say substantial number of you, the concept of economic census will be alien. I hope you understand. Concept of economic census will be alien. Alien in the sense, you might have heard of this for the first time. Was it there in the discussion? Yes, it was there in the discussion. Let me show it to you. Economic census, parliamentary panel flags a delay in publication of the results. It was there in the discussion. It was there in the current affairs. Please be very careful. Okay, let's start now. It is conducted under the capacity development scheme. Under the capacity development scheme. Statement 1 is correct. Right? Statement 1 is correct. Now, what is this capacity development scheme? Please understand this. There is a scheme, central government scheme called as a capacity development scheme. Under the capacity development schemes, there are two components. One is basically strengthening statistical system scheme. Strengthening statistical system scheme. Triple S. Like triple R, there is a triple S. Strengthening statistical scheme. And the second one is economic census scheme. Second one is economic census scheme. Now, what is this economic census scheme? Please understand. Many of the times, I'm pretty sure, many of the times you would have read in the newspaper or in a book, they will simply say, there are so many number of enterprises in India. There are, right, so many number of MSMEs in India. There are so many number of informal units in India, etc. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, from where do they get all of this information? What is the source? From where do they get this kind of an information? My dear, please remember, it is basically derived from economic census. It is basically derived from economic census. Is it okay? The 6th economic census was conducted back in the 2016. The report has been published. The 7th economic census was conducted in 2019. The report is yet to be published. The report is yet to be published, and that's the reason there is a lot of discussion regarding the 7th economic census. And by the way, please remember this very carefully. All of you heard of 13th Finance Commission. There is a 13th Finance Commission. Finance Commission is very, very often, right, basically discussed. 13th Finance Commission recommended that we should have economic census. Why? Why should we have economic census? so that we will know how many formal units are present in India, how many informal units are present in India. And what is the use of all of this? Remember this. What is the use of all of this? There is one more committee. There is one more committee. Remember that also. Arvind Panagiria Committee. Arvind Panagiria Committee. Niti Ayog set up Arvind Panagiria Committee. That task force headed by Mr. Arvind Panagiria. Arvind Panagiria Committee also recommended that we should have economic census. The reason why it was recommended was simple. We should be able to measure district domestic product. Look at my statement now. We should be able to measure district domestic product. Right now we have a gross domestic product for whole of India. Correct? We have GDP for whole of India. Second, we have gross state domestic product for the states. Right? We should also have certain system to measure district domestic product, and that was the recommendation of the committee. Arvind Panagiria Committee, that was the recommendation. And how can we do that? If I know basically how many formal enterprises are there, how many informal enterprises are there, I will be able to collect the data regarding the production. Is it okay? Right, so first statement, it is conducted under the capacity development scheme. Yes. The data from the census will be used to develop national business register. Yes, we will be able to develop a register for the whole of India. It will provide information regarding only the formal units set up throughout India. No, we will be able to collect the data for formal as well as informal. Right, so third statement is wrong. First and 2 are correct. Right option is option B. Only 2 are correct. Only 2 are correct. All of you okay? First economic census was done, right? My dear, first economic census was done back in 1977. We are talking about the recent one, that is the 7th economic census. Okay? Now please go through these particular concepts. Now that's it. From my side, we have covered most of the current affairs topics which are there in the context of censuses, right? Most of the concepts related, current affairs concepts related to data collection, right, etc. Now let me enter into, right, let's say your favorite area, inflation. Okay, let me enter into your favorite area, inflation. Now most of the students will be happy because they'll be able to see the kind of questions they are generally used to. Sir, inflation, cost push inflation, demand pull inflation, etc., etc. You'll be happy. But again, be very careful with UPSC. The kind of question that I've prepared, those are also probable questions. Let's start. Which of the following measures have been taken by the government in recent past to control inflation? Let's start. What is ECA? Essential Commodities Act. Essential Commodities Act. ECA basically stands for Essential Commodities Act, 1955. Okay, let's start. Which of the following measures have been taken by the government in recent past to control inflation? Now before I start, right option for the question number 10 will be option D. Option D. Now nobody is complaining. This is a very interesting, right, let's say observation that I am doing. Now nobody is complaining. Nobody is like, sir, why such a very difficult question? Sir, why you ask a question which I have not read? Right, as if UPSC will ask you what you have read, please do let me know. I'll prepare questions only on that. Right, don't enter into all of those. Let's start. Invoking Essential Commodities Act. Invoking Essential Commodities Act. Very recently there has been a lot of discussion regarding Essential Commodities Act. Under the Essential Commodities Act, once the government will notify any product as an essential commodity, the production, distribution, supply of it will come under regulation of Government of India. They can control the production, supply, storage, etc. regarding the product. Is it okay? Now let's start. Invoking the ECA? Of course, yes. Once the product is notified under ECA, government can impose restrictions. How much can you store? How much you should supply, etc., etc. Right? That is the argument. So first one, yes, we will help in controlling inflation. Increased excise duty on fuels. If the duty on the fuels will be increased, excise duty by the way by the central government, the market price will increase. And if the market price will increase, don't you think the inflation rate rather than coming down will start increasing? Okay. Second statement, wrong. Duty-free imports of 20 lakh tons of crude soybean and crude sunflower oil. In fact, this has been done by the government. Again, don't worry about the quantity, but look at the first part of it, duty-free imports. Duty-free imports, that is basically rather than imposing duties, now the imports will be done without any duties, which basically will reduce the market prices. The imports price will come down and it will help us in controlling inflation. Done? So third one is correct. Export limits on sugar, sugar, wheat, onion very recently, so I hope you understand. Export restrictions are imposed. Let's say export bans are imposed, quotas are imposed. Supply in the domestic market will increase, and if the supply will increase, automatically market price will come down. Fourth one is correct. Increase the subsidy on fertilizer. If government will provide more and more fertilizer subsidy, automatically the market prices will be under control. Farmers will be able to purchase at, let's say lower prices, subsidized prices. Now they will be able to use it. It will not increase the cost of production. Is it okay? Fifth one is also correct. So second one is wrong. Remaining all are correct. Right option will be 1, 3, 4 and 5. And there was one student who said, sir, any example of invoking Essential Commodities Act in the near, let's say in the recent past. For example, during pandemic. Have you heard of this? For example, during pandemic, Government of India imposed Essential Commodities Act restrictions on sanitizers. Correct? Sanitizer, mask, etc. Otherwise, the price of the mask and sanitizer would have shot through the roof. I hope you understand. Okay? Done. So, question number 10, right option is option D. Let me go to question number 11 now. These kind of questions students will solve. Let's start. Which of the following is or are likely to cause cost push inflation? I have given 4 points. Find out which is the right option. Okay, let's start. This is a very easy question, by the way, This one and the previous question, very easy if you ask me. Easy. Which of the following is or are likely to cause cost push inflation? Basically, which will increase the market prices. That's it. Okay. Expansionary monetary policy. Expansionary monetary policy. If you follow expansionary monetary policy, the supply of money will increase. And if money supply will increase, automatically interest rates will come down. Demand will increase and that will contribute to inflation, but it is demand side, not cost push. Okay, first one is wrong. Rising crude prices in the global market. Rising crude prices in the global market. India is import dependent. Crude prices will go up. It will cause imported inflation. It will also cause cost push inflation. Second one is correct. Rising commodity prices. Rising commodity prices. If the commodity prices such as steel prices, aluminum prices will start increasing, automatically the market prices will increase, causing inflation. Fourth one, supply shocks. Sudden disruption in the supply. Sudden disruption. For example, let's say in the last 1.5 years, has there been a sudden disruption of supply of raw materials to the international market, including India, by the way. Sudden disruption because of floods which has basically destroyed agriculture commodities. so on and so forth. So in the last couple of years, this is there in the discussion, right? The supply shocks will also cause inflation. So 2, 3 and 4 are correct. Right option for question number 11 will be 2, 3 and 4, option C. Done, all of you okay? Now before I go forward, some of you are basically telling me, sir, you gave an example of pandemic. Pandemic is not recent. In fact, one of the students went forward and said, pandemic is not recent, lol, L-O-L, lol. My dear, Essential Commodities Act are being used by the government in multiple instances. I'll give you one more example. That is the most recent example. In determination of fertilizer prices. In determining the fertilizer prices, how many of you heard of reasonable pricing policy announced by Government of India? Reasonable pricing policy, right, announced by Government of India. That was very, very recent. Right, reasonable pricing policy. Under reasonable pricing policy, government has basically covered these fertilizers under the concept of Essential Commodities Act and reduced or basically ensured market prices will not increase. The manufacturers will not earn unduly very high amount of profits. Done? All of you okay? So again, I hope you understand. In recent times, multiple times ECA has been used. You don't have to remember all the examples. UPSC will not ask you all the examples. Okay, let me go forward. Question number 12. Question number 12. How many of the following are likely indicators of lower inflation in the domestic market? Let's start. Okay, let's start then. Many of you, I'm pretty sure, you will be afraid of REER and NEER. Correct? Do let me know. Many of you, I'm pretty sure, you'll be afraid of NEER and REER, and that is exactly what I've done. I've put a statement on REER and NEER. Now let's start. How many of the following are likely indicators of lower inflation in the domestic market? Demand for the domestic goods is higher compared to imported goods. Demand for domestic goods is higher compared to imported goods. Now, what is the logic here? If you have a higher demand for the domestic goods, can I simply say it is because your currency has higher purchasing power for domestic goods rather than imported goods? Is it okay? Do let me know. If you have 100 rupees, let's say, right, I'll reintroduce your friend. If you have this 100 rupee, you are able to purchase 5 products in India and 4 products which are imported. Why? Imported products are costlier. So don't you think your currency will have a higher purchasing power for domestically produced goods? Now don't you think that is an indicator that in India inflation is comparatively lower? Do let me know. Inflation in India is comparatively lower because I'm pretty sure you must have read about this under international trade. There is generally a rule of thumb. That is, there is a thumb rule. What do we say? A country which experiences lower inflation rate, the domestic products become, right, attractive, comparatively cheaper to the imports. Apply the same logic. Apply the same logic. All of you okay? First one is correct. Anybody has a problem? First one is correct. Second one, the gap between the nominal and real GDP is very narrow. Right? The gap between the nominal and real GDP is very narrow. Right? Don't you think if the gap between nominal and the real GDP, if it is very narrow, it is because inflation rate is very less? Do let me know. GDP deflator, concept of GDP deflator. Nominal GDP divided by real GDP. Nominal GDP divided by real GDP. If the gap between, right, both of them is very narrow, it simply means the price levels have not changed by much. That is the basic argument. Price levels have not changed by much. That is, right, reason why second statement is correct. Go to the third statement. Central bank is reducing the holdings of the gold. In recent times, gold has been discussed so many times in the last 1.5 months. If central bank is reducing its holding of gold, remember, inflation rate is lesser. Inflation rate is lesser. Why? Please understand this. If RBI, let me take a very simple example. Imagine you are the RBI governor. You have 100 rupees, right? You have 100 rupees cash with yourself. But please understand, if you are able to purchase lesser goods, right, higher inflation, if you are able to purchase lesser goods, the 100 rupee cash that you have as RBI governor, don't you think the value of this will keep on reducing? Value. I hope you understand, value, not the, right, I'm not worried about 100 rupee number. How much goods and services, what is the purchasing power of your cash, it will keep on reducing. So what central banks generally do, right? What central banks generally do is, basically, they will start purchasing lot of gold. And that is exactly what they're doing in the current affairs. They will start purchasing lot of gold. Why? Currency value, because of inflation, will come down. Gold value doesn't. Gold is a hedge. They will use a term. Gold is a hedge, right? That is basically the statement. Okay, right? So central bank is reducing its holdings of the gold. No, it will increase the holdings of the gold. The gap between NEER and REER is very high. The gap between NEER and REER is very high. So please understand this. If the gap between NEER and REER is very high, it is an indicator of high inflation rate. Not low inflation rate, high inflation rate. Is it okay? The gap between NEER and REER is very high. It is an indicator of high inflation rate, not low inflation rate. Now, many of you will ask me, sir, what is the difference? I feel both are one and the same. NEER and REER, both are one and the same. I feel, right, I feel no difference is there. Listen to me very carefully. Please listen to me very carefully. I'll go back to statement 1. Have patience. I'll go back to statement 1. Look at the statement 4. Please listen to me carefully. NEER is the value of Indian currency against a basket of currencies. Is my statement okay? I'll repeat the statement. NEER is, right, basically value of Indian currency against a basket of foreign currencies. Right, that is nominal effective exchange rate. Always given in terms of indexes. Both are given. NEER and REER are indices published by RBI. Whereas a REER, we are comparing goods of India with, right, goods of the trading partners. All of you okay with my statement? Right? Anybody has a problem, please do let me know. In case of, right, REER, we are measuring trade competitiveness. We are simply measuring trade competitiveness. How is India's trade in the international market? Are the products of India more competitive, lesser competitive? And please do let me know. If you are measuring trade competitiveness, don't you think inflation rate will play a very important role in two different countries? Is it okay? Right? Does it make sense or not? Don't by heart everything. Understand the logic. If you are measuring trade competitiveness, don't you think inflation rate will play a very important role? So NEER, we are simply measuring rupee versus, right, basket of currencies, of course, with the trade weight. Whereas in case of REER, we are measuring India's goods with basket of goods, with trading partners. That's it. And because we are taking the basket of goods, in REER, right, inflation adjustment is done. Inflation is considered, inflation is adjusted under REER, it is not adjusted in the NEER. So if the gap between NEER index and REER index widens, it is because of inflation, because that is the only difference between NEER and REER. If it is widens, higher inflation rate. If it is narrow, lower inflation rate. Done? So fourth statement is wrong. Now listen to me very carefully. Many of you are saying, sir, first statement, it is wrong. How can you say it is right, etc., etc.? Whatever is the argument given in the book, you tell me. Please listen to me carefully and you tell me. Right? Let me write an example here. Imagine a product is manufactured in India. The cost is 15 rupees. Okay, cost is 15. And similar product is manufactured in, let's say, USA. The cost is, let's say, 12 rupees. The cost is 12 rupees. Simple, okay? Now, based on only this data, can I simply say, we will prefer to import more and more American goods? Don't worry about anything else. Please do not worry about anything else. Focus on only numbers. Is it okay if I say we will prefer to import more of American goods in India? Why? Cheaper. Cheaper. Now let's say the inflation in USA increases. There is a very high rate of inflation in the USA. As a result of this, the price of this product in USA will increase from, let's say, 12 rupees to 18 rupees. Right? It will increase from 12 rupees to 18 rupees. And inflation in India is very less compared to that. The price will increase from 15 rupees to 16 rupees. Now, very simple question to all of you. Do let me know. If you have 100 rupee, will you prefer to import the good or purchase a domestically produced good? Do let me know. If you have 100 rupee, will you prefer to purchase a domestically produced good or imported good? Right? Don't you think you will prefer to purchase a domestically produced goods? So preference for the domestic goods, I repeat, preference for the domestic goods is higher compared to, right, the goods which are imported, which is a likely indicator, that inflation in India is lesser. At least now, is it okay? At least now, is it okay? Right? What you generally do is you basically take exchange rates. I'll tell you what you generally do. You will take exchange rates, then you will start comparing, right, exchange rates, and then you say, no. I read in exchange rate, this is that, this is this, etc. Don't complicate. It is basically focused on inflation products in India. That's it. Do not go beyond it. Okay. So the central bank is reducing its holdings of the gold. Why? Why does the central bank reduce its holdings? Listen to me carefully. If you are a central banker, you have lot of rupees, correct? You have lot of rupees. Central banker has lot of rupees. Now, because of higher inflation rate, don't you think whatever is the purchasing power of your currency will start going down? Yes or no? Whatever is your purchasing power of your currency, that is the rupees that you have, will it start going down? Of course, yes. Will your currency start losing value? Of course, yes. So, as a RBI governor, would you prefer to keep your money now in terms of cash, in terms of rupees? Think of it. You will not prefer. What you will do? You will take the rupees, purchase a lot of gold. Purchase a lot of gold. This is done when the inflation rate is higher. Are you able to understand? This is done when the inflation rate is higher. But the statement simply says central bank is reducing its holdings of the gold. RBI is not focused on holding gold now. It is in fact reducing gold. Why? Because inflation rate is lesser. Inflation rate is very much under control. So rather than holding gold, what is the point of holding gold? Done. So third statement is right basically wrong. Okay, it is just a second. The central bank is reducing its holdings of the gold. So you need to find out lower inflation. Okay, my mistake. Third statement is correct. All of you okay? Right, I hope you understand. Third statement is correct. First statement is correct. Second statement is correct. At least now all of you okay? Do let me know. First statement is correct. Second statement is correct. And third statement is correct. The gap between NEER and REER, if it is very high, basically it indicates that inflation rate is higher. Inflation rate is higher. So fourth statement is wrong. Right option for question number 12 will be option C. Only 3 are correct. Can we go forward? Can we go forward now? Okay. Okay. Question number 13. Very simple, straightforward. Very simple question. There should not be any doubt regarding this. Very straightforward question. Question number 13. Which of the following published or publishes World Food Price Index? World Food Price Index. Start now. Finish it quickly. It's not difficult. It's very, very straightforward, very simple question. And again, this is there in the current affairs. That's the reason. Okay, let's start. The authority which will publish World Food Price Index is right option, option D, Food and Agriculture Organization. United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Sir, why? Why have you asked this kind of a question? in recent times, right, during pandemic, post-pandemic, right, and during, right, let's say the Russia-Ukraine war, etc., there was, right, the discussion regarding global food prices. There was a discussion regarding global food prices, right, and basically because of the supply disruption, right, there was this particular discussion of what is happening to the price levels of the global agriculture commodities, food prices in the international market. That is the reason FAO is there in the current affairs. Very simple. The base year for the calculation of the World Food Price Index is 24 to 2016. 24 to 2016, right? That is the base year. Please remember, we have 5 groups of commodities. 5 groups of commodities. Just to make it easier, all of you remember Microsoft Documents, MDocs, very simple, MDocs, this is how I remember. If you want to remember this way, you can remember this. MDocs, so these are the 5 groups of commodities which are present in measuring the World Food Price Index, that is meat, dairy products, right, the oil seeds, cereals, as well as the sugar, right, MDocs, that is the acronym that I generally use. Right, so this was there in the discussion, so please be very careful. Very straightforward question, nothing, right, conceptual here. Last question for the day. Which of the following is related to the term shrinkflation? Shrinkflation, right? So start solving. Very straightforward question. This was there in the current affairs. Nothing difficult here. This is, if you ask me, easy question. Okay, let's start. Very easy question. Which of the following is related to the term shrinkflation? The economy is experiencing deflation? No. A situation where the prices of the food prices are cooling down? No. Reduction in the quantity of good and maintaining the same price. Right option for question number 14 is option C. Right option is option C. Right? What is the concept of shrinkflation? Very simple. The companies which are selling the products to you, okay, the companies which are selling the products to you, they will sell the products at the same price, but they will reduce the quantity. Very simple logic. Don't complicate this. It's a very simple concept. It is there in the current affairs. Okay, the companies which are selling the products to you, they will reduce the quantity of the product and they will sell it at the same price to you. This is basically called as a shrinkflation. It is called as a shrinkflation. Done? Right, so heavier packs signal end of shrinkflation in the domestic market. This was discussed last year in the context of Indian economy. So all of you okay? All of you okay? Done? So these are the questions that I wanted to discuss with you people today. Tomorrow we will meet again sharp at 7:30 p.m. But before that, if any of you have any kind of doubts, please do let me know. I'm looking at the comment section. So REER and NEER once again. I'll repeat it, my dear. In NEER, you are comparing currency of India with basket of currencies. Very simple. Currency of India with basket of currencies. Done? On the other side, REER, real effective exchange rate. And the question is very simple here. Whenever you say nominal, please remember, we do not adjust with inflation. Whenever you use the term real, we always adjust with inflation. Is it okay? Right? We always use the inflation adjustment in case of real. So when you say real effective exchange rate, we are measuring, I repeat, we are measuring the price levels of basket of commodities of trading partners with Indian products. Very simple. Indian product compared with the basket of other countries' products. That's the basic argument of real. Again, when I say other countries' product, let's say one product in India, how competitive it is with, right, the basket of products from our trading partners. That is basically the concept of, right, real effective exchange rate. So real effective exchange rate focuses on trade competitiveness, whereas a nominal effective exchange rate focuses on competitiveness of currency. Done? Okay. So why does RBI hold more gold, my dear? Again, I'll repeat it. In case of Reserve Bank of India, or for that matter, any central bank, whenever the inflation goes up, the currency that they're holding, the value, the purchasing power will start falling down. And that is the precise reason what the central banks do is, instead of holding cash, they will purchase gold. They will start holding gold. Is it okay? Done? So let me stop the discussion today here. Tomorrow we shall meet again sharp at 7:30 p.m. We will continue with questions on inflation. We will add questions on fiscal policy tomorrow. So if you want to download this particular PPT, it is already uploaded under this particular Telegram channel, our Telegram channel. Please go to the Telegram channel and you will be able to download this PPT. That's it from my side. Take care. Have a great day. Good night.